Good evening, everyone. That was really incredible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. Much better. Hi, my name is John. I am from the team formerly known as the team to be named later. We were the proud hosts of the MIT Mystery Hunt 2024, and we have been asked by this year's hosts, Death and Mayhem, to present this How to Hunt workshop for 2025 so that you all have an idea about what to expect and what's going down. Many of the people you see in front of you here, for those of you who are watching on Zoom, trust me, they are there. This is not an empty room. In fact, it's packed. The people who are here are also members of TTINNL who assisted with the construction of last year's hunt. If that describes you, just wave to the people. Awesome. Yeah, they definitely deserve it. So, how to hunt? Let's get started. First, a disclaimer. The information in this workshop is general information regarding hunts in general and the MIT Mystery Hunt in particular have typically worked in the past. There is no guarantee that any or all of this information will be accurate for this year's MIT Mystery Hunt. Or, as Death and Mayhem themselves said, they thought we should actually be appending the following text to all information shared today. But who knows what DNM will do? They're crazy! Which I'm glad to get to say because that is their words and not mine. I didn't say I disagreed with their words, I just said they are in fact theirs. So, what is a puzzle hunt? So puzzle hunt is an event consisting of a series of puzzles to be solved. Generally also follows a plot or a storyline. There's some sort of narrative going on, featuring a major problem that needs to be resolved by the solvers. Unsurprisingly, that resolution usually comes in the form of solving puzzles to solve the problem. A great example is the MIT Mystery Hunt 2024. As a punishment for devoting the dwarf planet Pluto even further, solvers were sentenced to the underworld by the Greco-Roman gods. They solved puzzles to break out of the underworld, and then eventually ended up going on a madcap dash across the United States to multiple different cities and states to rescue the pieces of the shattered Pluto and eventually restore them all back together, restoring Pluto's place both in the galaxy and in the cosmic pantheon, and successfully winning the coin. So that was the plot last year. Hey, that's one handsome guy. Look at that. Who's that guy? And anyway, so puzzle hunts usually follow this pattern. Puzzles are grouped into rounds. Solving a single puzzle within a round will unlock more puzzles in that round, making them available to look at and solve. Solving enough puzzles unlocks different rounds. Each round has a meta puzzle, more on this later. And once all of the meta puzzles, that is, the meta puzzles are the rounds, are solved, a meta puzzle is revealed. More on that later too. And solving that meta puzzle completes the entire hunt and usually resolves whatever the narrative is that has been going on as well. Okay, that's puzzle hunts in general. What makes the MIT Mystery Hunt special? Well, one thing, it is the oldest and largest puzzle hunt in the world. Last year we had, I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe we had nearly 2,000 people participating live on campus and roughly 6,000 around the globe from 60 plus countries participating remotely. So it is extremely large and extremely global. And it has been held annually on the MIT campus since 1981. In 2021, when we couldn't actually come here, host team Whoosh Galactic Trendsetters gave actually created a virtual MIT so that it could still be held on MIT's campus. Solving that final meta puzzle triggers a runaround in which solvers are sent to locations all around campus, solving puzzles along the way to figure out where the next location is that they go. And at the final location, they discover a coin. The coin is the traditional prize to the winner of Mystery Hunt and has been, since that very first puzzle hunt in 1981, led solvers to an Indian head penny that was concealed somewhere on campus. And now, today, the coins have taken many different forms. Some of them are not even what you might consider coins. They are deconstructed, or they are hyper coins in some way. Last year's coin was a very large custom stamped silver and copper piece. Who knows what this year's will be? All right, so we've talked about hunts and how they're all about puzzles. What kind of puzzles? Jigsaw puzzles? Okay, so they can be jigsaw puzzles. In fact, last year's puzzle oil paintings was very jigsaw puzzle-esque, but more often they are similar to pencil puzzles like crossword word find Sudoku logic grids and the things you find on the New York Times puzzle pages. Note it says similar to, because mystery hunt puzzles tend to be a lot more complicated with a lot more layers and take a lot more time to solve. However, anything, and we do mean anything, can be a puzzle. For example, you, sir, mind coming up? Yeah. This gentleman here could be a puzzle. Oh, except he's wearing a hat that says this is not a puzzle. So we know that this gentleman is actually not a puzzle, because if you see something and it says this is not a puzzle, that's about the only thing you can be certain is not a puzzle in a mystery hunt. Give him to Anderson around. So let me just say right now, this is not a puzzle. The last year's name badges, of which I have examples here, if anyone wants to come up afterwards and have a look, these in fact were a solvable puzzle last year. In fact, they were voted the best intro puzzle of 2024 at Bravo Awards. And they were written by some very clever, attractive, and humble people. Anyway, what are some hallmarks of hunt-style puzzles? So usually, hunt-style puzzles are going to resolve to a string of alphanumeric characters that you would enter into an answer entry mechanism, usually a little entry box with a button that says submit or some such, on the Hunt website. Often, this is a word or a phrase, and often that word or phrase, especially if it's a meta puzzle, is some sort of pun or related phrase to the content of the puzzle or the content of the round. The other thing about hunt-style puzzles is they generally don't give clear instructions on how to solve them. A good example would be, picture your basic crossword puzzle, okay? You might have a title at the top, has a grid, has clues that are numbered. Okay, now I want you to picture that, except they've taken away the title, and they've taken away the grid, and they've taken away the numbering on the clues, and all of the clues have been resorted in alphabetical order, and that is all you get, it's a sheet of clues. That might be a way that a mystery hunt puzzle would present itself. So part of the puzzle, and often the fun part, is actually figuring out what you are supposed to be doing with all of this information that you are seeing on a page. Some puzzles are particularly insidious. Sometimes, in fact, last year, there was a puzzle that was a blank document, just looked like a blank piece of paper, and you had to solve it. That puzzle was also written by some very attractive, intelligent, humble people. Okay, I said I would get back to talking about metas. Here is the deal with meta puzzles. So meta puzzle, again, is usually there is one in a round, or there is a series of them in a round, one of which starts them off. And with a meta puzzle, the answers to the puzzles in that round are used as inputs. They are feeders into the meta puzzle. So, for example, let's say we had a meta puzzle and or let's say we had a round, and we noticed as we are solving puzzles in this round that all of the answers are coming out as three-letter words, and they all are starting with consecutive letters of the alphabet. You know, we have ale, A-L-E, and we have B, B-E-E, and we have cat, C-A-T. Okay, this could be some sort of feeder to a meta puzzle in which the letters that we have are significant. Maybe the letters, maybe these three-letter words are all getting stuck together as what are called trigrams, and they're going to spell out a longer message, something like that. Then, once you have used or come up with all of these puzzles as feeders, you are able to solve the meta puzzle. Sometimes you can even solve the meta puzzle without having solved all the previous puzzles. And then your team will probably debate about whether you want to actually go back and try to back solve, which means solve after the round is done, the puzzles that you missed. Sometimes back solving a puzzle, once you know what the answer has to be because of the parameters of the meta puzzle, can actually be easier than solving it in what's called forward solving it. So the two types of meta puzzles are a quote-unquote pure meta puzzle, which is the input answers themselves are the puzzle. And that's basically all you're going to get is these input answers. There's not going to be some additional mechanic introduced by the meta puzzle that has additional information or additional instructions or another layer to it. There's also a thing called a shell meta puzzle. In that case, the input answers are used in the puzzle, but there is some additional framework or structure or information that is given by the meta puzzle that requires being able to arrange the answers in a certain way or in conjunction with new information. Here's an example, and I want to thank Team Teammate. They are the ones who actually came up with this slide, and this is a good example of a meta puzzle. So this was a service line from Mystery Hunt 2012. You can see that the round answers in this round are listed in the leftmost column. Then if you sort them by length, so the shortest answer first, the longest at the bottom, and in alphabetical order within the same length, they go in that order. And look, oh, they all pair up. When you sort those answers by length, you have one pair of answers that's 6 letters, one pair of answers that's 7 letters, one pair that's 8 letters, etc. Looking at that, you notice that one member of each pair of answers has 3 O's in it. If we look at the letters in the other answer that's paired with it, that are in the same position in the word as the O's, we get those letters there in that last column, and it spells out the phrase, elephant in a tutu. And the puzzle is called a circus line. And because, of course, what might you see in a line at the circus prior to all of the circuses not using elephants anymore, is a line of elephants and tutus. And so that was an example of how a meta puzzle might work. This, in fact, would actually be this as presented here looks like a pure meta puzzle because there is no additional information. I believe it is also a mostly pure meta puzzle. You can click or you can use the QR code to actually get to the picture. I believe that there is minimal information given on that, and there isn't very much listed as to how to do it. But as you can see, this can be solved with no additional mechanics. There's no other words that get added. There's no specific instructions required on what to do. I believe there's a little bit of information calling out the O's and the rings. I think it's the idea is it's a 3-ring circus, and that's sort of the flavor text that they provide. And other than that, this is the puzzle, the meta. We do have 2 special guests with us tonight to talk about Mystery Hunt, and I was actually very surprised to see them. Will you all please give a warm welcome to Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective. It's really good to see you, but I have to admit, I'm really surprised because you are considered to be one of the great detectives of all time, someone who can derive amazing solutions to really complex problems just by looking at them with a glance. Why are you here at a how to hunt workshop?
Well, you see, I'm a master at analyzing what I observe, but I'm no good at mystery hunt puzzles because there's just so much that's not on the page.
Ah, very good. Yes, mystery hunt puzzles often do involve going beyond what's presented and sort of figuring out those kinds of relationships or other things that aren't specifically presented to you. That's a good point, Master Detective Holmes. Also, tonight here, we have another special guest. Shakespeare's Fool is with us. A big round of applause, please. Shakespeare's Fool. I'm kind of amazed to see you here as well, because you are a master of wordplay. You are a master of creativity. You are a master of outside the box thinking, like when you spring up out of a box that we've been turning the crank on. And you are really, really good at bad puns.
I'm just terrific, but
why are you here then?
well, all of what you said is true, but I can't solve mystery hunt puzzles because I'm not nearly methodical and logical enough.
That's true. Mystery hunt puzzles often involve applying logic and analytics to the information that is provided. Simply thinking creatively is not going to be enough. Wow. Holmes to the left of me, Jokers to the right. Here I am.
Stuck in the middle.
Yeah, all right. In fact, it's true. To be a good mystery hunter, you often need to be both a detective and a fool. Let's give a big round of applause for who I didn't tell that they were going to have to do this until today, because I knew if I asked them earlier, they'd probably say no. Anyway, so let's give this a try together. This is an interactive portion of the demonstration. Yes, you on Zoom, you right here can participate because we have created a unique, one-of-a-kind mystery hunt style puzzle that we have made just for tonight in its debut performance. Here's a QR code. Feel free to call it out on your device. This will take you to a Google Sheet. By the way, Google Sheets are one of the best tools in the puzzle hunter's arsenal because it allows multiple people, when you configure it correctly and make sure that anyone with the link can be an editor of the Google Sheet, you can make sure that everyone on your team is able to input things into a Google Sheet themselves. And in fact, that should take you to this Google Sheet for a puzzle called Harsh Judgment. Don't do anything with this right now, although you can edit it, and we will be editing this sheet together later. But this is what you should see when you go to that link. This is basically how a lot of puzzles in the hunt will be presented, and it has been standard practice in past years to offer a sort of copy to clipboard link on each puzzle page. So you would click that button and it would copy to the clipboard, and then you can go to a blank Google Sheet, hit paste, and it should copy the entire spreadsheet into Google Sheet for you in a format similar to this one. But let's pretend that we haven't done that just yet, and that we're just looking at this puzzle page. So a puzzle page for a mystery hunt might look something like this. Again, There are variances sometimes about exactly what information is placed where on the page, but here's the basic parts of a mystery hunt puzzle as presented on the mystery hunt website. First, you have the puzzle title. The title of this puzzle is Harsh Judgments. You might also see some errata. Errata are if there's a problem with the puzzle that has been discovered after the puzzle was put up here or after the hunt actually started, you might have a notice, an errata. This erratum says that at 12:01 p.m. on Friday, January 17th, wow, really close to the start of the hunt, the text of the Red Queen in this puzzle's flavor text was changed to the Queen of Hearts. So that is a minor error that was made apparently in the flavor text. You can see by looking at the flavor text, which is saying that it has now been corrected, it does say the Queen of Hearts. But the reason we put an errata up there is just in case a team accessed that puzzle before the erratum was issued, before the change was made. We want to make sure that the teams that did that know that there had been a change to the puzzle. So the erratum usually appears on the puzzle page, often in red letters, often bold-faced, but where it is very easy to see. It is always a good idea to reload puzzle pages every so often so that you can get errata in case they have been issued. Many hunts also feature other ways to tell teams about errata. Some of them will send emails to the team captain. Some of them will post messages on a forum of some sort. But they will let you know if there has been a change to a puzzle after the hunt started. So this next bit in italics is flavor text. Flavor text is interesting because some puzzles don't actually have it. Some puzzles have a lot. It is usually important. The thing is, it's usually important in a way that defies description because it's not always important in the same way to each puzzle. It might have information about how to solve the puzzle. It might have information about what the puzzle is referencing, if it is, for example, a pop culture reference or a reference to some piece of content that is not on the puzzle page. It could be an actual sort of midpoint confirmation. So you solve half the puzzle and you suddenly realize, oh, that makes sense with the puzzle text. It's in the flavor text. The flavor text is in that case serving as a confirmation that you are on the right track. It can be used in many, many other ways. So let's just take a look at this flavor text. As unfortunately, Alice realized that being 20 feet tall, we could still not spare her from between our sentence and shed copious tears. What's the silver lining here? Anytime a flavor text asks you a question, what's the silver lining here? You can expect, although of course it's not guaranteed, that the answer to this puzzle is likely to be an answer to that question. For example, there was a puzzle in 2024 which actually talked about restaurants, a battle between two restaurants. And in the flavor text, it had a puzzle, or it asked the question, what could solve this problem that the restaurants were having? And the answer, cover your ears if you don't want to know the spoiler for this puzzle, the answer turned out to be ketchup. That was the answer to the puzzle. So, what was all this problem? That puzzle was also written by some very attractive, very intelligent, and very humble people. And right now, 2 of the 3 of those people are really embarrassed. Anyway, now, somewhere on the puzzle, this may not actually appear on the puzzle page. This may appear on a previous page or elsewhere on the site. There is usually an answer entry box. So this often, again, takes the form of a little box with a button next to it, and you can type in your solution and hit the button, and it will tell you if your solution is correct or incorrect. In fact, many puzzle hunt interfaces these days have will actually track the answers that have been put in, which is very helpful because if you look at the answer entry box and then underneath the answer entry box, there's in red, you know, a word or phrase that may mean that someone on your team has guessed that word or phrase. And so you know coming in, even if you haven't talked to that person, that that answer has been guessed. You don't need to guess it again. Many answer entry boxes also will include a feature that if the same answer is entered in multiple times, it will return a message that says something like, "You already guessed that," or "Your team has already guessed that," response. Answer entry boxes also often have a throttling mechanism because the last thing that we want is for people to just start spamming in every conceivable answer that they can possibly think of. So that mechanic changes from year to year. Sometimes it is as simple as you have a maximum of 3 answers that can be entered in any given 2-minute period. Sometimes it can be very complex. Teammates in 2023, teammates throttling mechanism involved the cube root of the number for any period of n time. The cube root of that number of minutes is the number of answers. No, the cube root of the number of answers you enter has to be less than the number of minutes in which you entered those answers.
I think it was first time and stuff like you can submit at most n answers in n cubed minutes.
A simpler way to phrase that would be that you can enter n cubed answers in n minutes. Is that you can enter n answers. A wrong way to phrase that would be you can enter n cubed answers in n minutes. The right way to phrase that would be you can enter n answers in n cubed minutes. Yes! I don't know what Death and Mayhem is going to do this year. But I am sure that they will explain it, and I am sure it will be explained better than I just did. Thank you very much. Applause for the person who actually said that in a manner that was comprehensive. Thank you. And then finally, you will have the puzzle itself. And so these are the general features of a puzzle page or a puzzle in a mystery hunt. So, oh look, I'm supposed to add the puzzle QR code here. You all saw the puzzle QR code. It was this. I didn't add it there. I added it in a different place because sometimes I go off script, in case you couldn't tell. So let's actually get started now. Now that we know all of our different parts of the puzzle, we have seen the flavor text, we have seen the title. Let us look at this puzzle. So what I want you to pretend is that this puzzle that you are seeing here in this spreadsheet, pretend that this is basically how the puzzle appears on the site, obviously not in a Google Sheet, but all you see is this list of clues. And let's just start simple. And people who are watching on Zoom, feel free to comment in the chat. What, if anything, do you notice about this puzzle? Yes?
Looks like crossword clues.
These look like crossword clues. Very good. Yes, they do seem very crossword puzzle clue-y. Yes? The clues are in alphabetical order. Excellent. Now, I'm going to pause here and say, anytime in a mystery hunt that you see a set of clues and the clues are listed in alphabetical order, that is generally a clue that there is some other ordering that is going to be required with this puzzle. These clues are likely going to be reordered in some way, shape, or form. When you pop that over, that's any other things you notice about this puzzle? Yeah. They all have numbers. Yes, each clue has a number in parentheses at the end of it. Sometimes that is called enumeration. And generally speaking, if you see a clue and there is a number in parentheses at the end of said clue, it usually is referring to an answer length. Most often it is referring to a length of letters that appear in the answer. Most often. Sometimes it can be referring to a multi-word clue, and that is the number of words that are in the answer. Other times it may mean something else. There may be other meanings to that parentheses number that we will get to in a bit. But good job. Any other things we notice? I'm going to say it may not actually be clear from looking here.
There's 26 of them.
Say that again.
There's 26 of them.
Excellent. There are 26 clues here. Anytime, almost any time in a puzzle hunt that you see 26 of anything, it is often a bright red flashing beacon. This is somehow related to a particular group of things of which there are 26, of which we are all familiar, or with which we are all familiar. All right. So here's what I am going to suggest we now. Oh, hang on. One second. First, popping down. Back to this bit. Okay. So. Sorry, what? I'm all right. Foggy Broom of P&A Magazine which is at pandamagazine.com, came up with an acronym for puzzle solving and a mystery hunt. The acronym he came up with, well, before this particular acronym was used for any kind of global organization, was ISIS, which can be an Egyptian goddess. The acronym ISIS stood for Identify, Sort, Index, Solve, and is a quintessential method of solving a mystery hunt puzzle. It is a really well put together acronym that I cannot stand using because of what happened to that acronym later and how it was taken by an unsavory group. So I'm proposing that we use a slightly different acronym and add to the Foggy group for magazine for coming up with to remember acronym. I'm suggesting that we instead call our acronym easier. And the E in easier stands for examine. So what we just did, looking at the puzzle, saying, what stands out to us? What do we notice about this puzzle? This is our examine step. And parts of the examine step include, does this reference a real world group of things? Is it MIT specific, either MIT knowledge or some location at MIT? Are there any obvious starting hints or messages here? And the big one that a lot of people don't ask, how do I expect this to work? If I go into a puzzle and I see this, how do I expect it to work? And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said these seem to be like crossword puzzle style clues. The way we would expect this puzzle to work is that we would answer the clues. We would somehow figure out how what they mean, how they go together, and we would order them somehow and extract some sort of answer out of it. That's how we would expect this puzzle to work. So let's see now if we are correct. I'm going to just add right here in this column answers. And I invite all of you to go ahead. If you think you know an answer to one of these clues, go ahead and punch it into that cell. As we've said, and actually, after we get a few of these things, it may give us a little bit more information about what might be going on with those parentheses numbers. Actually, we probably have enough now. People who are watching, people here, people online. Based on what we've got. Oh, wait, hang on. Hey, people in column B, stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop it. You're getting ahead. You're getting ahead. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm deleting that. Don't do that. Stop that. Just column C, please. Just, or now column D, because I deleted column B. Just put your answers in column D. Although, hat tip to all of you, you are smart people. Good job. But we're gonna do this step by step. All right, based on what we are seeing here, what do we think those enumerations in the parentheses actually mean based on these answers that we are getting? Yes.
They look like word flags.
They in fact do look like what we would have expected them to be, which is word lengths. Just looking at the ones down here on the bottom of the screen, haunt, 5 letters, Oscars, 6 letters, Eden, 4 letters. Yes, it looks like those are in fact enumerations. All right, let's see, how are we doing? All right, now, this one's for those of you who are already filling in column B. Some of you, many of you have probably noticed what's weird about these clues. Just so you know, someone in the audience did this. Very good. Yes. What's weird about these clues? Yes, the first words of these clues in many cases don't seem to go with the rest of them. And here we are in the flavor text talking about Alice and her first sentence from the Queen of Hearts. Of course, what is the Queen of Hearts famous? And we can all say it together. What is her famous sentence?
Oh, with her head.
With her head. Yes, very good. And as many of you have figured out, gravy, wow, thank you to whoever put in a column G, checking to see whether the answers we have work with the enumerations. It's picking up the question marks. Yes, it does that. Very good. Yes. So some of you are extremely clever people and have realized, and actually I'm going to switch to step, yes, some of you realize that there are in fact 26 clues, of course, and then I'll go to step 2. And yes, some of you realize that there appears to have been a letter beheaded from each of these clues. So let us actually, you know what? I'm not going to show that yet. Let us actually, I'm going to put back column B. I always like to leave or I think somebody did it for me. Thank you to whoever did that for me. Let's call it beheaded letter. Go ahead and fill in, if you like, the beheaded letters from the top of these clues. Yes, so for example, that first question, ACE's area that can be furrowed. If you add an F to front space to the area that can be furrowed, and the answer is brow, which is a letter word as specified. Hang on, just want to look at one thing. Oh, good. Thank you for putting a Y in B29. Thank you. That's correct. I was a little worried when I had that in there, but good job. Okay. Once we have filled in all of those, or at least have guesses in column B for all of these, let's sort of go back. What do we notice about column B? The letters that we put in column B.
Have an alphabet.
We have an alphabet there. The letters, yes, they all appear to be different. Well, good, because that will help us hopefully figure out that, for example, he rocks is actually using a T and it's the rocks. And we will have to figure out what the rocks. All right. So Here's an interesting thing that we can talk about. So obviously we have a couple of answers, at least one answer there, and saying that it doesn't seem to match up with its enumeration. That is okay, because in a mystery hunt puzzle, you often don't need everything to move on to your next step. And what we have right now, which looks like about almost everything, or at least guesses for almost everything, this is probably sufficient. We've got two that we're not sure about. This is probably sufficient for us to move on to our next step. So, and we have already moved on actually quite a few steps. So, because you all are very fast and very smart. So, this is backtracking a little bit to stuff we've already done. Is there part of the puzzle that you can solve right away? For example, solving crossword clues. Yes, we did that. Identifying images pairing like ciphers, looking at reference content. If you have not done so already, be sure to look up the puzzle times code sheet. Is available for free. It's a nice handy printout on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Has a lot of standard codes and ciphers in it, including things like TTINNL, alphanumeric, Morse braille, all very common inclusions in hunts like this. So once you can examine the puzzle and you've gotten as far as you can via examination, we move on to the A, which is association. So remember, examining is sort of the Sherlock Holmes, that's your detective work. What can I do with the puzzle as presented? Associate is that Shakespeare's fool work, thinking outside the box. What is this like? Does this remind me of anything? Is there anything in the puzzle that isn't being obviously used? Do I understand why the puzzle is titled or flavored the way it is? And so that gets us, of course, to that flavor text, which was obviously gluing off your head with headings and our beheaded clues. Here are some tips on when you are doing the examine and associate steps. How to actually go about searching. It is very helpful to use quotes around search terms so that Google knows, especially if you are looking for very specific terms. Some of these clues have search terms. Good grief, will you people stop this? I get to the end of it before I explain it. Oh, well, I suppose that ship may have sailed. All right, just don't solve the whole thing, okay? Can you stop after that step? Don't solve the whole thing till I get to it. All right, thank you. Using quotes around search, especially if it's a search term that you are hoping to use. So, for example, we have some strange terms in this puzzle, like turophile. You would probably want to put quotes around that if you were searching for it, so that Google knows you are specifically searching for that word and not for similar words or words that to it is related. Sometimes it can be helpful to search in multiple ways, using different words that you are looking for in different combinations. Sometimes it can be helpful to just put an entire list of extracted words into Google to see what happens. Please remember, friends don't let friends use ChatGPT to search for factual information. Yeah. Because ChatGPT doesn't know whether it's factual or not. Many a puzzle has been ruined because ChatGPT said that a fruit with the letter K in its name is strawberry, or something similar. That is an actual response from ChatGPT.
Also put -AI in your Google searches.
Also put -AI in your Google searches. Yes, because Google often pops up the AI generated search, which has many of the same issues as ChatGPT, that it can come up with not factual information, but just information that it thinks may be correct. Some great reverse image search options are Google Images, TNI, Bing, and Yandex. Some great music packaging options you need to identify clip of songs, Shazam, Google Assistant, and Siri. And Nutramatic and CACT are essential word pattern matching tools. For a mystery hunt, you should feel free to use any tools at your disposal, everything in your arsenal. Feel free to throw anything at that puzzle that you can, because it's expected. When puzzle writers design puzzles, They know that solvers are going to be looking at Internet Anagram Server to try to find anagrams. They're going to be punching things into Nudramatic to find pattern recognition. They're going to be using cat to find other different types of words and phrases that might work. Some puzzles may not be solvable without using Google search or other tools like those. So feel free to use them. And there are lists of these on the Hunt website. I will show you that link towards the end. Okay, what if you get stuck? Oh, hey, I told you I'd share that link towards the end, right? I lied. I'm sharing it right now. This is on mit.edu/resources.html. Has a number of resources, including a link to that code sheet that I referenced earlier, including links to things like Nudramatic and cat. And it actually has a couple of really fantastic have you tried documents, which are really good when you think you're completely stuck to just go down the list of things to see whether you tried. Hopefully, using these tools, using your intuition, using your inner Sherlock, your inner fool, you will have the aha moment. The aha moment is the thing that gives you that sweet, sweet hint of dopamine that comes from solving the puzzle and makes you feel great, makes you feel smart, makes you feel wonderful. It is the moment when you figure out what is going on. You make a significant jump in the puzzle. So associate can also be aha. And some puzzles it is sort of going to have multiple ahas, moments where it takes a sort of logical leap to figure out, oh, this is what is actually going on here. All right, the next step in our easier framework is sort. To do some sorting. So we mentioned that, and oh goodness, have we already done this? Okay, we mentioned, yes, someone's done. We mentioned that it looked like we had one of each letter, and yes, that is an excellent sorting mechanic. You find that you have 26 clues, each one of them starts with a different letter of the alphabet, and the clues were presented in alphabetical order without that first letter of the alphabet. Yes, it is a great idea. That is probably a sorting mechanic. In fact, A1Z26, sometimes also called alphanumeric code, a code that pairs up the first 26 numbers with the first 26 letters in order, is probably the most frequently used code in mystery hunt style puzzles, either to extract answers or to give an ordering mechanic or things like that. It's not always used, but it is very common. So some enterprising individual, thank you, has done that work and has resorted these clues. So they are now in that alphabetical order. And as you can see, if we read down the first letters of the answers, it says, clearly, that is our answer. It's probably in Greek. And we'll just punch it in here. Okay, wait a minute. I'm flipping away because people are getting it. Will you people stop this? No, you're smart already. Good job. Okay, so that's the sort of boy. I'm gonna blaze through this because y'all are way ahead of me. You're all like, yeah, get to the point already. Yes, once you discover the ordering mechanic, reorder the puzzle and see what you get. It looks like we got nothing. Okay, the next, the I in easier is called index. So indexing is figuring out how to pull something out of this ordered set of data that we have. The simplest index is probably to take the first letter of each answer and read it down. And that is often a mechanic that is used. Take the first letter, read it down. We obviously didn't see that here. Another ordering mechanic that is less common, but still turns up regularly, is take the first letter of the first word, the second letter of the second word, the third letter of the third word, go down diagonally, see what that gets you. And I'm going to give you a hint, it doesn't give you anything here. All right. This is also a place where that alphanumeric code that I mentioned may come in very handy. It's also a place where these numbers in parentheses can come in handy, because if they don't seem to be enumerations of any kind, luckily in this puzzle they weren't, but if they weren't, They could be some sort of indexing mechanic. We could be supposed to take the fourth letter of that last answer, the seventh letter of that second to last answer, etc. All right. Let's see. I think it's something about this. I think I already said that. All right, and our next E is extract. So extracting is actually pulling those letters. Well, we tried to pull the first letters and nothing happened. But then some enterprising people noticed, oh look, all of our answers can also be beheaded. Very good. And they have figured out that if you take away the first letter of each answer, well, now reading down looks a lot different, doesn't it? So we can see more of it. Does anyone want to read out loud what the first letters of these answers in column E say?
One letter at a time. Answer, send, call, Alex.
Answer, send, call, Alice.
Issues.
Send tall Alice tissues. It does say that she is shedding copious tears. So yes, we should probably send her some tissues. So we would enter into our little answer checker, send tall Alice tissues, and we would get back a little thing that would ding us that would say, send tall Alice tissues is incorrect. Wait, what? Incorrect? What? How can that be incorrect? That's not incorrect. It says it right. It literally says, answer, send tall Alice tissue. There is no way that that is a coincidence that showed up there. That's the right answer. How many times is this? Do you? So, what can you do? Occasionally, by the way, occasionally puzzles in a mystery hunt will return something called a partial answer or a response that says something to the effect of keep going or you're on the right track or something like that. That would be a confirmation that you are on the right track, you're doing something right, there's an additional step to be taken. Most mystery hunt puzzles don't do that. Most mystery hunt puzzles just give you an incorrect if you have entered something partial. And so that brings me to my, oh man, I'm not even going to look to see if you've already figured this out. I'm just going to hope that it happens, because that brings us to the last step, the R, which is redraw. In many mystery hunt puzzles, if you don't get anything useful, don't give up. Without seeing if a prior puzzle mechanic can be reapplied to where you are right now. So in other words, you are taking something that you've already done that worked, and you are reapplying it to what you have in front of you now. Let's see. Yes, I see. Someone has figured it out there and they completed it. Well, thank you. That's nice. I appreciate you letting others figure it out. Someone figured it out, but let's ask the folks here. Any thoughts on what the actual answer might be? Yes.
You can behead all of the words in send.
You can behead all of these words too. You behead clues. You then behead the answer. Yes, it is an answer. Send tall Alice tissues. Each individual one of those words can be beheaded to get, we can all say it together, end all lice issues. And the advantage this has over send tall Alice tissues is the silver lining. Remember we said if there's a question in the flavor text, what's the silver lining here? Send tall Alice tissues really doesn't give you a silver lining to getting your head cut off. But one silver lining to getting your head cut off is you will end all lice issues that you have been having. And that is, in fact, the answer to the puzzle. If we type that into our answer box, we will get the fireworks, the streamers, and the sound effect, or whatever DNM has put into its puzzle hunt this year on a successful solve. And that is the answer to the puzzle, and that we solved. Guys, that was fantastic! You solved that before I even could explain it. Give yourselves a massive round of applause. Thank you so much. So, with that done, okay, I'm just going to warn you. Some of the slides ahead are going to have placeholder text in them. It was because I was waiting to hear back about things, and I did not hear back about them in time to take them to press. So, fair warning. So, yes, the R can be retried, or sometimes it will actually work, and the extraction will be the answer, and it can be rechoice. So that is our easier mechanic. So, congratulations. A few reminders. Puzzles are designed to be solved, and for you to have fun solving them. The hunt is not an adversarial relationship, or at least it shouldn't be. DNM is not sitting there right now, rubbing their hands together, cackling, I hope nobody gets the answer to this one. In fact, they're probably saying the exact opposite. They're saying, I really hope somebody gets this one. And I know we were saying that TTINNL about a lot of puzzles before the hunt started. I really hope that we have got this right and that this is in fact solvable. Puzzling is so what you need to know is that puzzle creators want you to be able to solve this puzzle. They're not trying to trick you, they're trying to give you the clues you need, generally nothing more than the ones you absolutely need, but they're trying to give you the clues you need to actually get through and solve the puzzle. Also, puzzling is a social activity. Try it with friends. Because if you are a Sherlock Holmes and very good at analyzing what's in front of you, but you are not very good at thinking outside the box and creatively coming up with connections that don't exist, you can benefit from solving together. The correct ideas, in fact, are often the silly ideas. Do not be afraid to suggest something even if it's silly, because sometimes silly is exactly right. See the puzzle 2 outs, 2 strikes, and from last year to see what I mean. But only see it with friends 18 that was also written by very attractive, very talented, very able people. One person slogs, another's walk in the park, and big thing, hunt lasts for 72 hours. No one, to my knowledge, in the history of Mystery Hunt has ever stayed awake that entire time, solving, to my knowledge. And if they did, they were probably not very fun to co-solve with by hour 70. So please take care of yourself. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, getting enough to drink. Go outside, touch grass, see some sunshine at some point. These are all very important, and they will help you be a better solver. Important stuff. Be sure. This is my slide of reminders in which I don't say please, I say use. Take care of and respect MIT property, especially your classmate HQ if you have one. Be sure to listen to your captains and to hunt headquarters, which is set in mayhem. If they tell you to do something, do it. Campus is closed to non-students from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every night. Please make sure you vacate your classrooms, headquarters, other areas of campus by 1 a.m. and do not return until after 6 a.m. Thank you. And any extra DNM reminders. Extra DNM reminders which did not make it to press time include: if you are hunting here on campus and you have not filled out the photo waiver form, please do so. If you are hunting here on campus and you have not added the Atlas app to your phone, if you have not signed up as a participant in the Mystery Hunt event, please do so that you can unlock doors that you may need to unlock and access areas of campus that are appropriate during the hunt. those, I believe, were the two reminders that came in after press time. Ready to try. So, we are reaching the conclusion of our regularly scheduled programming. Thank you so much for spending an hour with us and listening to me yammer for an hour. However, if you are interested in some recommendations for puzzles from past hunts that you would like to try, please feel free to talk to us afterwards. We can give you some suggestions of a good actual mystery hunt puzzle. The one that you just did, of course, was not a mystery hunt puzzle. That was something that we came up with just for tonight. But we can give you some recommendations of actual mystery hunt puzzles that may suit your puzzling style, whether you are at homes or in a school or otherwise. So if you are ready to try that, please let us know afterwards. Thank you, of course, for playing. I think this next slide is weird. No, I actually deleted it. Hooray! That's the last one. Now is the time, and of course we are available here, as I said, till 9:30. But we are happy to take questions. We are happy to answer anything, any questions that you have that we can answer. Please, however, during this Q&A session, remember we are members of TTINNL, last year's hosts. We cannot speak on behalf of Death and Mayhem, this year's hosts. If you have any questions about this year's hunt, how things will work, please address those to Death and Mayhem or to members of Puzzle Club. And speaking of members of Puzzle Club, do you all need to sit? Do you all need to add anything? No. Give it up for Puzzle Club, by the way, because on top of their workloads, agreed to throw this hunt every year, and we really, really, really appreciate their efforts. You do not know how much they do. If you knew, you would probably call an ambulance, because I don't know how they maintain consciousness the entire time. I don't know how they do it. They work so incredibly hard, and we are so, so grateful to them for making hunt work. So we'll move now into, so that concludes our regularly scheduled programming. Thank you again for coming tonight. If you have any questions, we are going to stay live to answer any questions you may have. Also in the chat on Zoom or live.
Why is he walking around like a cardinal?
Why is he walking around dressed like that? Of course, far be it for me to talk about when anyone else dressed. Perhaps he will walk in front of the camera so the Zoom people can see what we are talking about. Or perhaps not. Oh, no, perhaps. Everybody give it up for Edward. Any other questions?
What percentage of TTINNL team energy is either provided or created by John?
The somewhat snarky question was, what percentage of TTINNL energy is created or provided by me, John? I'm going to throw that out to the other members of my team. What would you say?
A surprisingly large number.
A surprisingly large percentage.
As a member of TTINNL, I would just like to say John is responsible for much of the craziness that you have seen and much of the craziness that was present in last year's hunt. Any craziness in this year's hunt is all down to Death and Mayhem. We take no responsibility for what may occur next weekend.
Excellent reminder. We take no responsibility for anything that happens after this workshop concludes. I think the fair answer would be an extremely large percentage. Yes, probably more than 50%. Although MJ Anderson provides a lot of the mix, I will say that. Other questions from the chat or from the live camera? Yes.
It's more of a tricky question. What's the largest team that you know of?
Largest team that I know of? I mean, we were quite large in 2023. We had 180. But but we have since divided so that we would not stay at that massive number, because that is an extreme large team. Over 100, there have definitely been teams that are over 100 people. I believe there are some teams I've seen in some of the charts that last year were like 120. Was I seeing that?
So I believe we had a couple that were 150 plus.
150
Having
plus.
said that, for the very large teams, it becomes harder to count because some people will go in and out. Some people will not be there for that initial survey. And so even the teams don't necessarily know the answer to that question.
For those of you online, I don't know if you heard that, but yes, sometimes for a very large team, it can be very difficult to actually get an accurate count because people will sign up and say, yes, I'm participating ahead of time, but then they don't show up, we never see them. Do we count them as part of our team or not? So I should say that I believe we, in 2023, team beginning for TTINNL, I think our nominal count was extremely high. I think it was something like 180. But there were definitely a large swath of those 180 who said, yes, I'm in, who then did not show up, did not log into a single puzzle, did not actually participate. So yes, the larger the team is, the more difficult it becomes to get a real sort of count of what's the real number. Definitely over 1. Yeah. Other questions or comments or concerns? Awesome. Well, like I said,
Are there penalties to submitting wrong answers? How do teams request hints?
are there penalties to submitting wrong answers? Are teams allowed to request hints? Again, I cannot speak specifically for this year because I don't know the answer, but generally speaking, no, there are no penalties to submitting a wrong answer, except that you have used an answer against your answer throttling tally. So as long as you stay below that n puzzle answers in n cubed minutes or whatever the limit happens to be, then you are fine. The only penalty would be to hit that threshold, lock yourself out, and be unable to submit answers for a particular period of time. That would be a penalty, but no, you do not lose points, you do not go backwards, generally speaking, in mystery hunts. How do you request hints? This is varied over the course of several hunts. Many hunts have a specific button or indicator or line on the team's homepage that might say something to the effect of hints available, colon, and then a number, and then clicking on that or clicking on a different hints tab might take you to a page where you can request a hint. Usually, the way hints are requested is that you there's basically a little online form. You say, here's the name of the puzzle that I'm stuck on. You give some information and say, here's what I have already tried. Here's what we've done. Because obviously, if you were needing a hint for the puzzle we just did, and you had already figured out that all of the clues had been beheaded, you've already figured out that you needed to reorder by letter of the alphabet. You had already figured out that the answers could be beheaded, and then they said answer give tall or send tall Alice tissue. They want to know that. Tell them that you have done all that so that the hint that they give you back can be, gee, have you tried anything in this puzzle that might work on this answer or something like that, rather than the hint coming back and being, the clues are all missing something. What do you think that might be? You know, and then having to go back and be like, no, we've done that. So yeah, that is generally the way hints work. Usually, keep in mind, hints are handled manually. So there is someone on the other end of that hint line reading your hint, responding to your specific situation, so that it's generally not a generic, you send something and it sends you back a canned generic hint. Somebody has to look at it and see how far you are in the puzzle, what you are specifically requesting a hint for. So please be patient. with the hint givers. Sometimes if they get inundated with requests for hints, it can take a little while for you to receive an answer back. In that case, recommend just moving on to a different puzzle and trying to solve that until you get the notification that the hint has come. That is, of course, assuming that hints in this hunt work as they have in other recent hunts, which of course there is no guarantee because they crazy. Any other questions? We can answer.
There's a logistics question, but I should probably answer.
Oh, great.
Are
Logistics question.
rapid COVID tests enough, and will they be provided?
Are rapid COVID tests enough, and will they be provided? I'm going to pass this off to Beck, the president of Puzzle Club, to answer.
So MIT and DNM don't have any like official policy stopping you from coming if you're sick, but please don't come if you're sick. We will not provide rapid COVID tests, so yeah. I think that's
So yes, I second that, by the way. Please, if you are sick, don't come. There are so many ways to participate remotely. It is easy to do for most teams. Other questions, comments, concerns? All good? All good. In that case, thank you for participating. Thanks for puzzling with us. And we look forward to congratulating one of you, as this year's winner of Mystery Hunt. Fingers crossed. So, have a good night, everyone.